You're in a position where you've just got yourself a beginner orientated camera and you're getting a little bit fed up with that kit lens. And you want a lens that can pretty much give you everything you want in a reasonably small and compact form factor. Well, today we're going to be checking out the Sigma 16mm to 300, and that is an F3.5-6.7 lens, so it's got a fairly decent aperture range, although quite wide ranging. This is of course a super zoom lens, with it apparently being the world's first 18.8 times magnification zoom, and especially with actually a surprisingly good wide angle 16mm end to it. This is of course a APS-C lens, so your actual equivalent focal length to a full frame camera is around a 24 to 450, which actually gives you a lot of fun range, should we say. Now, this lens is not for everybody, but what it is for is people that want to be able to do everything with their camera. Take photos, portraits, to landscapes, to street photography, and genuinely just enjoy taking photos. Usually, super zooms suffer with a lot of distortion. You know, they don't necessarily have super sharp optics because it has to basically be sharp throughout. And it's actually quite hard to engineer that into the lens. What do you reckon of Sigma's new branding? They've got a new typeface, and it's a little bit interesting. Things to notice when it comes to this lens is, of course, it's got a very large external zoom. It's a bit showy, isn't it, really? Kind of puts most people in its place. Now, talking over the lens a little bit more, of course, this is an optical stabilized lens, which allows you to make sure you get a much more stable image, and that's hugely important when you're taking things at that 300mm focal length. So I thought today would be a good chance to take some photos of some birds in and around the area and hopefully get some really good shots. I'm shooting again with the GoPro as my sort of like BTS photography kind of angle. That will be great for reels, and it's actually a lot of fun to use the GoPro. It's pretty easy just to press the button and go with it, and that's what I find to be the most impressive part of it. Anyway, let's continue. Let's take some photos, see how well it adapts to the situation, and hopefully going to be able to test out some of the autofocus as well, because again, this is a third-party lens at a really long variable focal length. It's going to be a very good test for the lens overall. So, well, let's get to it, shall we? Camera Centre UK do both new, used, and kind of everything else in between camera gear. So if you are looking to upgrade your gear, make sure you go over to cameracenteruk.com for the latest and greatest deals, as well as checking out some of the newest tech. Go over to cameracenteruk.com and, well, I'll hopefully see you there. The thing I would like to talk about is actually how lightweight and portable it was. I actually took this out on a Sony a6700. However, you can actually get it for both L mount and then also Fuji X mount. Although, don't really know off the top of my head a Lumix camera that's APS-C, but you can still crop in and you still get that super decent range there in the camera. The other side to this is I was actually quite surprised at how close I could actually get the lens to focus. And at 70mm, it's saying that it can go 1/2 magnification, which, although yes isn't macro, it can actually give you photos of things really quite close up, in which I took some photos of some flowers, which I'll show now. But we're also getting to the image quality of the actual lens a little bit later on. You do actually have optical stabilization built into the lens, meaning that those shots taken at that longer focal length can actually still remain pretty unshaken, essentially. Combine that with the fact that most cameras have IBIS built in, you know, you can like adapt to it. However, some manufacturers actually turn off the IBIS for third-party lens, so again, it's nice to have that optical stabilization, especially because it's not a super bright optic when it comes to the aperture value. The F3.5-6.7 is a decent aperture range, and it does give you quite a bit for how far this lens actually reaches. But it's not perfect. It's not going to be brilliant in mid-light conditions to low-light conditions. So having optical stabilization will help you out there a little bit. The other thing that's nice to see here, and it's really important to actually have on super zoom lenses, is a lock switch on the side of the lens, making sure that you don't actually shake it loose or actually break it. So that's super important. They have actually built it both dust and splash resistant, which basically means, you know, you're not going to ruin the optic when it comes to getting a little bit of dust on it, maybe a bit of sand, and also, you know, having a water fight with it. It should be okay. The last thing to talk about when it comes to the general specs here is that it has a suppressed focus breathing. This isn't necessarily something I massively looked at on the day when I went out shooting with it, but you know, it can adapt to the situation. But the lens overall, I believe, performed quite well, and this is where I think we should really get into the sort of like image quality of it. So let's jump over to that. I need to. So we're now into the part of the video where we're going to be having a look in more detail at the actual photos. It would be awesome if you can just click down below if you are looking to get this lens. It just shows that, you know, you're enjoying the videos essentially that I took on the day with the 16-300. This was actually taken near the end of it. I was down Roath Park, which is a beautiful place. I actually proposed to my missus there. Not that you really need to know that, but I thought it was a nice little added extra. But I went around the park and tested out the lens, shooting both wide and tight for both nature and then some kind of like landscapey, street photography kind of stuff. And these are the images we got. First things first, we're going to talk about this. And this photo here is of a squirrel. I know, surprising, right? The reason why I was impressed with how well it performed for this particular photo and a few of the others I'll show you in a second is how well the optical stabilization actually worked, as well as the autofocus. Now, it was a very bright day whilst I was out. However, this is a third-party lens and a one that's really long range at that. It was a little bit more of a challenging situation for it, especially because this was actually in the much darker shadows, and I did actually shoot this at quite a low ISO as well, and you know, pushing it just a little bit, and it actually came out reasonably sharp. As you can see, there's a little bit of shake there, but in terms of like actually what it looks like now on my iPad anyway, and what most people would view it as, it's actually, you know, it's come out quite clear, very reasonably sharp. Beautiful bokeh as well, as in the background. So let's have a look there. Nice kind of like almost swirly bokeh. Yeah, and this one's a little bit further away. So this is the squirrel just up on the branch, as you can see. So let's zoom in, and this one actually was a little bit more stable, and it's actually quite sharp. My honest impression for it with this part of the shoot is that it performed excellently, and I did actually get some absolutely cracking photos that I'm actually quite happy with. For me anyway, I did say earlier that I didn't think it was actually for a professional, but at the moment I'm trying to teach my missus how to actually do photography. And the thing that she actually loves to take photograph of is nature, but she also likes to get really close up. So it's one of those lenses that I feel, if you want to be able to capture everything, become an everything photographer, this is perfect. I mean, it's quite sharp at the long end. Let's look at the wide end now as well, in which there's this random lighthouse kind of looking structure, lighthouse clock tower, looking structure in Roath. So this is the wide angle. It's just 24 megapixel. It's just a 24mm equivalent really to a full frame, but it's actually wide enough in which it would actually be quite good to use it for, I don't know, you know, travel photography, because you can get those big kind of like architecture shots, street photos, photos that tell a story of the experience, and it, you know, it can, you know, show that really well. And then, you know, you can see a bird like this cormorant here and take a photo of it with, you know, half decent results. It's not perfect. It's not kind of what you would see out of a professional lens, no. But does it need to be? Can it take some great photos that you're ultimately really happy with? Yes, it can. It can do it really quite well. Okay, we're going to jump over now to photos that I took a little bit closer up. This is at the 16mm range of the lens. And if we zoom in, you know, super sharp, kind of, you know, looks great. It's relatively close. I was like this kind of distance, maybe not this, like this kind of distance away from the actual flower. And then I took another photo of the flower super close up, and it didn't focus directly on the bud, but where it is in focus, you know, still absolutely fantastic performance. And then also this one here as well. Again, really great performance here from a lens that personally I would look over because it's not a lens for me. But if you are looking for like a lens for people that just want to take photos, go traveling, something simple. I mean, although I even say it's not for me, if I was looking for a simple setup, a super zoom setup, then I think I would actually pick this lens, especially when you're talking about maybe going out with family, going abroad, don't necessarily want to take too many lenses. This is perfect for that kind of situation. For portraits as well. So this is just a photo I took of a random person at the park, and you know, still decently sharp. You know, you can see his nostril hairs, which is absolutely perfect. I'm joking, but super sharp, really nice bokeh in the background. This is my missus, a photo I took while she, like, I was kind of like quite high up looking down on her, and obviously you can see the lake. Again, bokeh is incredibly smooth and thin, and you know, it takes a decent portrait. This is a lens that can do everything, and it does it pretty damn well. And as you can see, just the sheer amount of zoom there is actually amazing. That's kind of what it looks like if you were to zoom in on the 4-16mm. Again, not fantastic because it's like 20 times zoomed in. And then, you know, 18.8 times zoomed in there. Super sharp, can't really complain. I was actually enjoying shooting the tower, so I sat down for a little bit because I kind of imagined a shot. The boat that was actually on top of the tower, grabbing the seagull in the kind of right position, not quite looking the right way there, looking a little bit better. If you've moved a little bit more to the left, would have been perfect. But like I said, 450mm, it's sharp. The photo is pretty excellent, not to toot my own horn. I think this is kind of the composition I ended up being the most happy with, because it kind of like had all the structure of the composition working out the best, with the seagull just off out of the way of having anything in the behind it, making it distracting, and then the boat sailing through the clouds, should we say. But 450mm, decently sharp, you know, you can take some great photos. They also had a business meeting. I mean, I feel like half the time I do these sort of like telephoto lenses, it ends up becoming a pigeon and seagull kind of story extravaganza. But it just performed again and again. And when I took the photos home, when I edited them, I was just like, that's actually, you know, a banger maybe for, you know, the YouTube video anyway. And it just, you know, just continued to just produce these really clear, really nice photos. That was taken around about 150mm, I believe. And I wanted to get the reflection. Managed to also capture this bird right here. It looks a little bit like a UFO from a distance. But again, kind of great photo, reasonably sharp, great quality. The autofocus, I would say, actually works out pretty well. It's not necessarily sharp there, because it is moving quite fast, and you know, it's got a little bit of motion blur there because I don't know if I was shooting the best settings for that particular thing. But the autofocus panned out pretty well. This was shot at like a little bit of a drive mode, so I could actually get the, you know, to see if the autofocus performed. It did, and it did it really well. I actually shot some video with the A6700, which I'll put in the video as well, for you to be able to see 16mm focal length. And this is another kind of like having a look at kind of what it looks like zoomed in. So this is the 16mm, and then this is around about a 450mm, and there's a little bit of shake, fairly sharp around the bits and pieces for the optical stabilization. And then also, you know, another one there as well, just kind of in between. And again, impressed with the overall performance of a lens, which, although I was kind of excited to have a play with, because I always love playing with camera lenses, I wasn't expecting much from it. And it's a lens which, Although I wasn't expecting much, I was pleasantly surprised. And that's ultimately the most important thing to really take away here, is sometimes something can actually surprise you. I know I shouldn't really be surprised because Sigma do often produce some of the best optics on the market, for the price especially. And overall, the photos I was actually very, very happy with. Anyway, please make sure you like, follow and subscribe if you want to see more. We also do have a trade show coming up this year called Wales and West Photography Show. This is where you're going to get the chance to maybe purchase some camera gear at a really good price, but also check out some awesome workshops, talk to the brands about the products themselves, and ultimately answer any of the questions that you have about them, or maybe even try a little bit of your dream setup, maybe. But Wales and West Photography Show is an excellent place for you to just have fun and enjoy. It's at the ICC in Newport, and it's a beautiful location. There's also garden areas around, so we're going to do some sort of nature workshops. It's just a great all-round event, so make sure you come and check out Wales and West Photography Show between the 19th and the 21st of June.